Hi there, and welcome to a short session on organizational development. Organizational development is the practice of restoring humanity to environments that have so dehumanized us in the pursuit of process, performance, and profit. I think any business out there, needs to focus on those three things: processes, getting performance from your people, and showing a profit to the shareholders. But that will not be sustainable, it won't be achievable if you don't have a workforce that is fully engaged and that can help you achieve those three things. And so often these days organizations is totally dehumanized, forgot that it's people working for them. People with lives, with dreams, with things happening that will have an influence on the way they operate at work. And if the environment at the workplace is not fit for human beings, it creates challenges for organizations. And that is something that we in Pragma has realized in the last 6-7 years. We've really focused on the aspect of organizational development. Let me show you a picture. This picture really depicts the value chain and what aspects really adds to value within an organization. If you look at the three bottom ones there, intellect, diligence, and obedience, you'll see that it's a total of 20%, which that adds to the value chain of organization. And those are really things that can be bought. When we employ somebody, hopefully they will have some intellect due to their qualifications. Yes, most of them will be diligent, and many of them will be obedient. But as you'll see, obedience only adds 0% to that value chain. Only 5% via diligence and 15% via intellect. What is really important is to unlock the rest of the value chain. Stuff like people taking initiative, people being creative, coming up with new ideas, and really putting passion in their jobs that, in the end also goes over to the way that we service our clients. So basically 80% of what people give, of the value that people add to an organization, is stuff that cannot be bought. Those three things, passion, creativity, and initiative, is given by choice, given by engaged employees. Engaged employees are really willing to walk the extra mile for the company. That does more than just what is required to get through the day. That really gives discretionary effort. So in Pragma, there's a whole lot of things that we've concentrated on. Just one or two that I want to share, that we believe all added to higher engagement levels and to a real competitive advantage that we have in our organization. One of the things is strengths, letting people realize what their strengths are, and then assisting them to understand them better, and then to start applying them very well in the job environment. And a question that we've also asked in the beginning of 2014 is, can you honestly say that you use your strengths most of the time? And we are privileged, after a long program, years of concentrating on this, that we can say 70% of our staff said yes. Marcus Buckingham, guru in the field of strengths, did the same question in a worldwide study. And the latest results in 2007 indicated that only 1 to 2 out of every 10 people, 12% of people in the world, can say that they use their strengths most of the time. So that really, we believe, gives us a competitive advantage. Then in terms of engagement, we've reached a record high levels of engagement. Our workforce, 76% of them fully engaged at their work. And again, a figure that we're very proud of, compared to the world average of 13%, the South African average, South African companies, the average company out there, only 9% of their staff engaged. So what engagement and high engagement levels gives us is absolutely amazing. It's an innovative kind of workforce, again a workforce really willing to go the extra mile for your organization. So in the POD or people and organizational development field that we operate in, there's lots of inputs into our environment at Pragma, at our workplace. Lots of development items in there, lots of engagement with our staff on various aspects that we assist them with. And we believe that together with our wonderful leadership team, all of these aspects has contributed to giving us a real competitive advantage. And if you look at it over the last 10 years, there's a few staggering figures to look at. What has high engagement give us as an organization? Firstly, let's look back at 2005 when only 26% of our staff was fully engaged versus our record level in 2014 of 76. Employee turnover, something that many organizations struggle with. We all know the high cost that contributes to an organization. People that needs to be retrained or trained up before they can really deliver. So we were at levels of 22% back in 2005. In the last few years, we've managed to keep that well under 10%, and that has really added a lot of value again to our organization. Then also in terms of the environment that we try and create, the culture, the kind of workplace, we take part in the annual Deloitte Best Company to Work For survey, and over the last 6 years we've had 5 top 10 positions, our best position ever, 4th in a small company category. So again, a consistent performance. We've taken part in this for the last 7 consecutive years. Not for us really about the position, but just improving every time, making sure that in all the dimensions that's covered in that survey, we put in consistent effort to try and create a better working environment, which our staff indicates to us we've done well. But really, what are shareholders after? It's about real productivity improvement. It's about obviously sales increase, and in the end, are we really working effectively enough to also increase profits? And again, Gallup organization did a whole lot of studies on the effect of high employee engagement and productivity. And we did a little exercise based on our annual salary bill. If we were still at the engagement levels that we were in 2005 today in 2014, we would have lost out on 24 million rand on a 121 million rand payable in terms of productivity. So that is staggering figures. But more real financial increase in terms of sales over the last 10 years. We've managed to up that by 385%. That's an annual sales growth of 40%. And then more importantly, I think, are we really working more effectively with the workforce that we have? And I think one can take that back to productivity. Our PBIT has increased with a staggering 1,685%. That's 170% annual growth. And the fact of the matter is there's no way that any company will be able to put those kind of figures on the table consistently over such a long period without a fully engaged workforce, and a workforce that feels that they are treated like human beings, that they work in an environment where they are recognized, where they know what they're supposed to do, where they get the support and the development, etc. So very proud of those figures. So that's just a quick overview of the effect that proper OD in our organization had. I'm moving over to 1 or 2 lessons, leadership lessons. The first one that I want to tackle is called the challenge assessment, and credit here to Bill Hybels of Willow Creek in the US, who shared this lesson originally. So any leader out there, any individual actually can look at this and ask himself or herself, how am I being challenged at work at the moment? Am I appropriately challenged? So in other words, I come to work, I've got a long list of things to do, I work through it throughout the day. It's been a hard working day, but in the end I can say, it was challenging, but I've managed. Or am I perhaps under challenged? In other words, I have lots of time on hand. Typically will spend time on Facebook, do some online shopping, go for a chat, drink a coffee. Not much that keep me busy. In terms of perhaps my leadership, not a lot that I need to do, not many people that I need to encourage, need to develop. Ask yourself that question: are you perhaps under challenge at the moment? And then you get an area right at the top there that's called the dangerously over challenged area. Yes, we all know that challenges lots of time creates excitement. There's adrenaline rush. There's new things that you wanna learn. You wanna maybe impress your peers or your boss that gave you new responsibilities. So yes, it is good to be challenged, but not to be continually challenged over a long period of time. So ask yourself the question: where on that continuum do you currently lie? And then the question is, where should we be challenged? And the studies show that just above that line between appropriately and dangerously over challenged, if we can be challenged there, it's good. But now the important part: how long are you in that spot? And the longer you are on that spot, the worse it gets. A study, in fact, it was done in the 1800s. That's now before the time of all the stress and the responsibility that leaders have these days. Two guys did a research study, and they prove, and it's actually quite logical, that the longer you are stressed, the longer that you are dangerously over challenged, you have a problem in terms of your performance. So right in the beginning, when you start a new assignment, you're being challenged for a day or two, your performance will go up. But if you increase that time that you are challenged, your performance will drop right through the floor. And it's very important for leaders, again, to take note of that also with regards to the team members. How long are people being overly challenged or dangerously over challenged? And then again, as a leader, we all need to replenish. We all need to take time to gather our thoughts, to take a deep breath, to regain our energy levels, etc. And whether it's going out for a run, going fishing, reading a book, watching a TV show, or just spending time in the garden with your children, with your family, whatever it is, we use those activities to replenish ourselves. But let's look at the way, and let's call it the replenishment bucket. If you are constantly in that red area, that dangerously over challenged area, your bucket will look something like that. You will have holes in your bucket. And it doesn't matter what you do to try and replenish and try and regain energy, it's just dripping out and spewing out. So ask yourself that question: are you appropriately challenged, dangerously over challenged all the time? Or can you offer your services up to your organization, to the rest of your team, being currently under challenged? Right, lastly, I want to move over to a lesson also in this case, by Patrick Lencioni. He talked about the real reason your best people will leave your organization. And there's really 3 elements to this, so I just want to quickly go through those 3. People leave jobs because they are miserable. And these 3 elements make up job misery. The first one he talks about is anonymity. So people simply feeling that they just a number, they are not recognized, nobody's really interested in them as a person. People don't know their names. People, for example, he talks about a lady that went on maternity leave for 4 months. She came back, and not once during the next few months her manager asked her one question about her maternity leave, how the baby was doing, how the whole process was, and the lady just felt like a total number, not important. And the fact is, good people don't leave jobs where they are known. So ask yourself again, as a leader, are you interested in your people? Do you know what they like, what they don't like? their strengths, what really motivates them in life. Ask yourself the question, do you feel like that? Are you just a number? If you are treated right, make sure that you also treat your team members correctly. Then the second aspect, or maybe just before we get to that little exercise that I think it was John Maxwell that also mentioned this in his book, How to Communicate, how to connect with people. It talks about the form exercise, where you can quickly, if you're in a new group or a new team, let everybody just share their family, their occupation, recreation message. Is an example of my own one, and people can quickly talk through their form acronyms, and so you get to know a person a bit. What really interests him, what is his history in terms of work, is he married, does he have children, etc. And then lastly, some sort of a message. So a great little exercise we extensively use in Pragma to help us with this anonymity aspect. The second thing there is irrelevance. People sometimes just feel that their job is totally irrelevant, and that is the issue. If people don't understand how their job contributes to the bigger picture, how what they do on a daily basis adds value to somebody else or to another department, you're going to have people that start to feel that they don't matter, their job doesn't matter, what are they still doing here? So they'll pack up and leave. So make sure that you explain job relevance to your people, to your team members, that you understand your own as well. Very important aspect. And then the last one, again, before I move on, we started a campaign recently. We asked a question to our staff, why do you get out of bed in the morning? So that people can really start to think about, what meaning their job has in terms of the bigger picture. Feel free to pause the video here and maybe just quickly read that one. But wonderful things that comes through these contributions from our own staff. I would like to maybe highlight this one where this guy saw his job, he equated to a mechanic working on a car, but it was the car of a doctor, and that ensured that the doctor got to the patient to save the patient's life. Seeing his own job also as a very important part in the bigger picture. So again, I think a great exercise where people can start to think about the relevance of their own jobs. The last one is not a dictionary word apparently, but immeasurement. So people don't know whether what they do is good or bad. And if you can provide some form of measurement to your staff members, which they can use themselves, they shouldn't be dependent on you as the manager, as a leader, to all the time, tell them how they're doing. If they can know themselves whether the work that they do is of good quality, there's some form of a quantitative or qualitative measurement that they can use to tell themselves, I'm doing a good job today. That's really going to add to job excitement. So those three things together really forms a situation where people will experience job misery. Nobody ever said that, I just got fed up with that job. I was just so well known and well loved in the organization. My job had so much meaning, and I was really doing a good job all the time, and I knew it. I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to leave. Nobody's ever going to say that. So really important to ask yourself the question, is one or more of those elements perhaps evident in your organization, in your team, and what are you going to do about that? To end off, one of the best definitions I recently found about good leadership, in one word, it's humility. In a few more, it's the noble choice to forgo your status and use your influence for the good of others before yourself. To hold power is service of others. We all know the term servant leadership. That is really the only kind of leadership there is. So to end off, perhaps you're still on a leadership journey, becoming a leader, or wishing to become a leader. Yes, remember today it's still about yourself. It's still about growing yourself. But one day, when you are a leader, success is all about growing others. empowering others. Remember that. And remember also to, on this journey of leadership, to thank those who's helping to grow you. And always one day refer back to those guys that helped you to put in the position you are today. Good luck with your leadership journey. All the best. Enjoy it.